Hi, I'm Jason Gorber for ThatShelf.com, and we're here to look at the 50th anniversary set of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Big shelf.
Is this Genesis's best album? Yeah, probably. Certainly their last album, or at least their last album with Peter Gabriel. This is the 50th anniversary of this spectacular record. One of my favorite records of all time, one of the great broadly concept albums, art rock. Will we fall into prog rock? Who knows? Nonetheless, it is Gabriel who wrote the whole story of Rail and all of his travails in and around New York City, and the band that actually crafted all the music. This is a major transitional record, in the sense that this is, as I said, the last with their lead singer, Peter Gabriel. After this, Genesis would go in very different directions and eventually settle, of course, on Phil Collins, for the most part, being the lead singer. That is a whole another history of Genesis worth diving into. But what I've been very interested in is the history of this particular record. This is, again, the 50th anniversary super deluxe edition, 5 LPs, 1 Blu-ray, the 2025 remasters of the Lamb studio album. It has the 1974 stereo mix from the original tapes, so the 2015 and the original stereo mix, live from the Shrine Auditorium and a previously unreleased encore. And then this is a big deal for me, the Dolby Atmos mix, overseen by Peter Gabriel and Tony Banks at Real World Studios, because of course. And then previously unreleased demos for download. That is interesting that there's downloadable content. So despite you having a nice, beautiful box, some of the stuff is digital only. From the legendary Headley Grains session. So the entire Headley Grains section sessions are not included on here. But there is a 60-page illustrated book featuring rare images and essay with all 5 band members, and includes official 1975 tour program, reproduction, replica ticket, and poster. So yeah, kind of a beautiful celebration. But let's talk about different versions of Lamb. I'll do a second video that's like a direct comparison of the mastering and stuff like that. I promise. But for now, we're going to crack this open and just talk a little bit about some other versions. At one point in time, I had a Canadian first. I think I sold it because, I mean, those of you don't really probably care, but you know, you're here watching. I had a bunch of records, a ton of them, and I sold a bunch to a record store, a local store here. And then since that time, I've bought probably quintuple, if not 10 times the number of records that I've sold to that store back from the store. Now, I didn't buy another version of a Canadian first pressing. That wasn't really a big deal, because what I was doing was I was listening at the time to this guy. And this, for me, forever was the sort of, if I was going to listen to Lamb, this was the way I was going to listen to Lamb. This is the original SACD set, the 1970 to 1975 set, aka the Gabriel years. And inside, we've shown some of this before when we've elsewhere on the channel. But what you have here is this beautiful sort of linen book version of the digital version of the record, including the 5.1 mix. And so this is a fantastic 5.1 mix that I have loved for many, many years on SACD, and it was on DVD in Lost C. So for when I actually purchased these had to come from the UK, because in North America they were not released in SACD. They're only released on DVD, so Lost C DVD, not DVD audio, but DVD, with our regular DVD surround sound. And then the SACD was the one where you actually had the high resolution surround. And it's interesting because on this, I can, on my setup, listen to the DVD version and then listen to SACD surround, and the SACD is substantially better. So you know, lossy lossless doesn't always show, but especially in surround, the difference isn't massive, but certainly there's a significant difference that I can hear on my system, which is quite nice. So that's definitely the way that I sort of listen to it primarily. Then I got this guy. So this is the Classic Records 200 gram, hence the sticker, version of Lamb, analog cut from the master tapes, supposedly. And this is, I have all the Genesis classic albums releases, and this is a beautiful sounding analog version, very, very faithful, obviously, to our first pressing. if not superior, given the hypothetically the better quality of vinyl. Not every Quayax release from Classic was spectacular. Some of them actually have, despite being on quieter vinyl, actually end up having slightly substantial surface noise. This one's a really good pressing. And so this was my sort of go-to definitive until this guy. So this is the AP75 Monster, 45 RPM. Really, really, really stunning release as part of the AP75. This one happens to be a numbered version. I've shown it very briefly here on the channel before. Mine happens to be number 1242. It's nice to have 42 on there. And the way that it actually opens up, it's this kind of gatefold. So the sort of multi-album gatefold with the 4 records. It's a 2-record set. Put it in 45, it becomes a 4-record set. This sounds unbelievably amazing. I do prefer this particular release to the Quayax. The 45 RPM just really lets it shine. The imaging is just stunning. The AP75 has been unbelievably good on vinyl. Let's try to do this without destroying the outer cover. And so for me, this sort of for 2-channel certainly replaced what I was doing. For 5.1, I was still rocking this guy, and for 2-channel, I was rocking this guy. And now we've got this, which is a different mastering. It's got the 2025 mastering and the original mastering included. I love that they did that. And so we're going to be able to compare all of that stuff during the listening session, but also has the Atmos disc. And so we're going to look what's actually on that disc. We're going to actually see if we can see whether it has the original 5.1 mix. I believe it actually does. Actually, it says here we are, Dolby Atmos mix, the 2025 studio album remaster, 24-bit 96 kilohertz uncompressed, the Atmos mix by Bob Mackenzie, Real World Studios. So I don't think this has the same surround mix as this. So now I have 2 separate surround mixes of Lamb where I'll be able to compare. Of all the tracks on here, the crazy one that I tend to go to that I think is just so stunning. I love a bolero. I love the song that builds up. I'm a huge Jethro Tull fan when they do that, and songs like Skating Away. But the Grand Parade of Lifeless Packaging is probably not everyone's favorite song on this album, but I love that song so much. Phil's drumming on it is so unbelievably incredible. I just absolutely adore it. But it's the sort of weird, almost like schoolroom instrument kind of thing that you see occasionally that the Roots do. Just all building up, building until this total cacophony. The synth sounds that helped develop, just absolutely fantastic. I have to give a shout out of the actual Lamb Lies Down on Broadway track, the actual title track. Has the same, there's a drum lick that Phil uses in Do They Know It's Christmas? And as soon as I heard that, every single time I hear Do They Know It's Christmas, which I weirdly hear a lot, documentaries and stuff like that, all I can think of is Lamb, and vice versa. I was like, it's this great thing. And Phil was actually sort of known for like having these licks and sort of quoting himself sometimes. You can actually hear the In the Air Tonight, very famous drum fill, sort of touched upon in other elements. It's not to say he's not an incredibly original drummer, it's just he had a couple little hooks that he would sort of throw in. Very jazzy of him that way. It's not quite a lick, as per what common YouTubers talk about. But, it's certainly something that Phil Collins throws in, just little Easter eggs, I guess, or just, realizing that this sounds really good. It's his sound. Why not use it? If you're going to steal from anybody, why not steal from yourself? Okay, so let's crack this thing open as carefully as I can, keeping the outer sticker that I will then put on the inside box, because that's my usual thing. We have the card. I almost wish always that they would just start printing this on the back, but I understand why they do it. Some people actually don't want to have that. And again, it has all the side 1, side 2, and then all the other elements. Lilith, Waiting Room, Anyway, Here Comes the Supernatural Anesthetist, The Lamia, Silent Sorrows, and Empty Boats. And then The Colony of Slippermen, Ravine, The Light Lies Down on Broadway, Riding the Scree, and then The Rapids. So that's side 1, 2, 3, 4. And then Live from the Shrine, we have again the Lamb sort of playing out in order. Yep, all the way. And then the encores, Watch for the Skies and Musical Box, which are the ones that are previously unreleased. Very excited to hear that. I do know that a lot of times Genesis quite often uses re-records or redoing the vocals and stuff like that. I haven't dug too much into what this. I know that the Genesis Archives box, which I actually love that that live recording on that sort of brown CD box. I know a ton of that, almost track by track, line by line, was redone by Gabriel. So much smarter Genesis people than me will actually know what the actual source for this stuff is. Just like listening to it, and I try not to think about it too much, rightly or wrongly. So the box itself, without the sticker, yeah, you just have the imagery, and on the back we have the Rhino, the Atlantic, and the Kraft Records logo, all part of, you know, the Warner Group. So inside here we have the box. That right here is where I'm going to put that sticker. And we have this stuff to pull out. So let's pull this out first. So there is the lamb itself. Gatefold, nice printing, not crazy, you know, decent cardboard. And it's not super glossy, but the imagery looks great. I mean, if I compare it directly to this, it'll be very hard to see. And one's in plastic. But you can see the new one's a little bit blacker, if that makes any sense. Is a little bit, the 200-gram one is has a little bit more gray to its texture. And the logo itself on the top, very different colors, which is interesting. And if we do the same thing on this guy, we have that. You can see it's the softened color on the original, and the new one now has that sort of a much cleaner blue. Very interesting. No barcode on this individual release, so it's not as if the box set had the one that they're just going to inevitably sell by itself. And let's look at what the actual records themselves look like. Okay, so not a disappointment, but just a challenge right from the get-go. So here we have a beautiful paper sleeve, but the problem is for me that the record is inside said paper sleeve. I much would have preferred if they included this printed insert, especially in a deluxe set like this. They would have included this and still had the record in a polyline paper sleeve, so I don't have to do this. It doesn't look so bad. It doesn't look like there's too much in the way of, you know, some of the slide stuff that you get with paper, but I certainly see enough on here. It's going to be impossible to see on camera, but there's little white bits all over that from just the paper shedding. I'm going to put it through my degritter. Yes, shout out to Gritter. I should have a drinking game every time I say degritter or Vinyl Storage Solutions. I get nothing for this other than the fact that I love my degritter, and VSS is where I'm going to get all my sleeves. Nonetheless, the record itself looks decent. I don't see any particular overt flaws. I'm just going to put that in the rack there. And yeah, we got the lyric sheet as per usual. And then we have same thing in part two. Let's put this open. I'm so gingy. See what I do is I sort of put it against my body. I sort of push them apart. So the paper is avoiding it as much as possible. So this is always interesting. So here's this. I don't know if you can see that. I have this sort of, there's a mark up here. Again, it's probably going to be impossible to see, but that usually is from heat, I believe, from the actual pressing. I don't think it's going to affect the sound at all, but it looks like a, you know, just a general mark on the record itself. Not ideal, but makes it a little less pristine looking, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be pristine playing, which is the whole point. Just put this up here. And then let's look at this guy. This looks stunning. So there is the live, the 3-disc Lamb Lies Down on Broadway live set. So live from the Shrine Auditorium, Los Angeles, California, January 24th, 1975. And again, side 6 is the encore, the Watch for the Skies and Musical Box. Awesome. And this opens as the sort of triple Tommy style gatefold. And you can see really stunning photography from that era, band, etc. And then each one of these is also in a paper sleeve. And so one paper sleeve looks like this. I'll just open this up carefully. We're just making sure there isn't any particularly egregious stuff. It's always nice to actually show it on camera. if and when I need replacements. But yeah, this one actually looks okay. No issues there. Just plop it there. Prior to cleaning. All selections written by Tony Banks, Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, Steve Hackett, Mike Rutherford. Published by Concord Music. Shrine Auditorium concert originally recorded for King Biscuit Flower Hour. Yeah, this was a radio show. Remastered by Miles Showell at Abbey Road with assistance of Nick Davis. Miles Showell, of course, is the one who does all the Abbey Road half-speed pressings. And then Watch the Sky, the musical box encore mixed by Stephen W. Taylor, Tayler. Vinyl cut by Matt Colton and Metropolis Studios, assisted by Dan Harfield. So yeah, new names for me. Probably names I've seen on Brit stuff, but certainly not the superheroes that we tend to hear about these days. The the fact that I know the names of mastering engineers is not something that was on my bingo card 15 years ago. Simple as that. So the record itself looks, again, perfectly fine. In a funny way, these actually look better than the actual Lamb discs. And then the last one is here. Actually, I lied. I did the middle. This happens to be the second disc. And you can see what the artwork looks like that way, which includes the Slipperman costume and all of that stuff. And yeah, lots of fun on the record itself. There you go. There is, again, you can probably see there's a white little schmutz there. That's the paper that's sort of come off when they cut the essentially paper envelopes. Inevitably, it's in a cutting room. It's where they're doing lots of paper, and that stuff can get on the inside. It's obviously less pristine, whereas if it's a poly-lined, much better. So I would have loved to have seen that, especially for a set of this sort of caliber and expense, but we got what we got. So these are the two records on the inside. And then what else we got in here? We have this thing. So this is the digital stuff. So this includes here the Blu-ray. And this is interesting. Here's cardboard sleeve. What's inside the cardboard sleeve? The Blu-ray is in a polyline bag. Japanese style with the sort of rounded edge. But yeah, the discs, the shiny discs, are actually protected in a way that the vinyl is not. Oh, the irony. And again, Dolby Atmos mix and the 1974 stereo mix on here. So the 5.1 mix from this confirmed not on this. So I have two different surround mixes to compare. Wow, I got a lot of listening to do. And then we have here, again, this is the tchotchkes that it actually comes with. And so this is the official program, the sort of tour program. I love when they provide stuff like this. It looks so great. Again, Slipperman costume. Those who haven't seen Musical Box, for God's sakes, go see them while they're live. You can actually see the actual costume. You can see the actual slides that are there from Lamb. Actually, to that point, on this set, my understanding is this is actually the DVD audio on this. Oh, sorry, the DVD of this, not the SACD, but the DVD that has multi-channel audio actually has the slides that Musical Box uses when they do Lamb in its entirety. And my understanding is that Musical Box actually had the originals, and Genesis had to get them back to scan from these guys, from Musical Box. Excuse me, Genesis had to go to Musical Box, the Quebecois cover band, but they call them cover band, the live documentary that is Musical Box, and get the material back. I kind of love that. Yeah, so we have this with an essay, all these elements. Absolutely fantastic. We have a ticket. So we have a Shrine Auditorium reproduction ticket. I do miss one of this. And on the back here, we have, that's where the download the Headley Grange, and so the code is on the back. I'm going to hide my code because I don't want you guys to steal my code. Please and thank you. And then we apparently have a poster. So this must be the poster, which is folded a lot to get into this little box. But we'll see what the poster is. Again, talked about this before. I never actually frame these posters as much as I probably should. I have all of these box sets with all these amazing posters. My walls are covered with records. What am I going to do? And so this is, Genesis is coming. Are You Ready, Los Angeles, January 24th. And so that is the poster. Oh, this is going to be hard to show. But yeah, Genesis showing off that with the record itself. Absolutely lovely. I can fold it this way and then have it go in sideways, and it does its thing. So that goes in, this goes in here, and this is how this goes in this little sort of tucked box. And then underneath here in the box, you can see the bottom of the actual thing is this book, which is not hardcover, but it is, you know, a welcome booklet that actually has photos, more essays about the making of the record, etc., etc., etc. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not the Blu-ray actually includes some of that visual material from the original tour, like the other one did. We'll see what's sort of involved and what's actually there. But that is our unboxing of the 50th anniversary set of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. I can, you know, I got this stuff all over the place here. I'll just do this. There we are. Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, the lighter blue version, 50th anniversary set. For thatshelf.com, I'm Jason Gorber. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of this particular record, and if there's a particular track you want me to try out. Probably just going to go with the first track and probably Grand Parade. But if there's something specific you want to hear, Carpet Crawler, who knows, that you'd like to know the difference between all these various ones, that'd be great. I would love to, I'm going to try to actually record portions of each of them. We'll see how that actually works out next video. Try not to get copyright blocks, but even if it's just a small snippet, yeah, it'll be through YouTube. Yeah, it won't be the same as through the system, but you might be able to hear some mastering differences. We'll see how all that plays. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Again, how about do me a favor? Please subscribe. I've said it before, but I'm going to say it one now. If you've gone this far, if you've actually watched this far, please, please, please make sure you subscribe, ring the bell, tell your friends about this channel. It'll really help a lot. We'll see you next video. All the best. Take care.